we had wanted to talk about was the worthiness interviews. And so we're in this culture of perfection and we're always striving for perfection. And so in order to, have the greatest blessings, you need to be meeting a certain bar, right? And so, and I think it's fair. Like if you have a building that's a private building and it's a temple, and you don't have to let everyone into that building. So in order to have a temple recommend, you have to answer some questions. And a lot of them are just very basic questions. Do you believe in Jesus Christ? Do you believe in the leaders of the church? Do you believe in the, the basic tenets of the gospel? But none of those are the things that keep people out of the temple. I mean, everybody answers those the right way. The things that keep people out of the temple are the question about tithing, because you have to tithe the full 10%. And then, of course, the sexual purity questions are a really big deal. And I think it's fine for adults. Like, great. If you're, an adult and you want to go to the temple and you want to, be asked these questions so that you can do that, great. You're an adult. That's fine. Where it becomes problematic for me is that, we baptize kids at the age of 8. So at 8 years old, I don't think they ask them the sex questions at 8, but they have a little worthiness interview at 8. Just, do you believe in Jesus? Do you believe in baptism? And that's usually fine. Although I will say that my daughter, even at the age of 8, she felt really uncomfortable with that. And she said, at 8 years old, you don't have words to say, I don't want to do this. It's just expected of you. And so she was baptized, which she said it was actually a really bad experience for her, which I did not know at the time. But then you turn 12, and then every year as a teenager, you're having these worthiness interviews, and they ask you about masturbation, and they ask you, and I would argue that a middle-aged man asking a teenage girl about her sex life, I would say that's not only religious abuse, but that it's sexual abuse. Now, they did recently change the policy, and they now are allowing teenagers to have a parent in the room with them, which, okay, that's a small improvement. But I mean, what are you going to say in front of your parents? You're not going to, a middle-aged man talking to a 15-year-old girl about whether or not she masturbates is 100% abusive and should not ever happen. I don't think anybody should be having that conversation. If it needs to be had, then girls should be interviewed by a woman instead of a man. But I don't think that the conversation is appropriate at any level.
For those listening who aren't familiar, these worthiness interviews are a specifically Mormon practice. While it's not necessarily unique to them, it is a requirement to remain in good standing in the Mormon church. Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to church every Sunday and you're a teenager, then, the bishop's going to track you down around your birthday every year. If you just straight up said, I'm not going to have this interview, I think that the only ramification would be that you couldn't go on youth temple trips.